Welcome back to SOS Discussion, another edition of SOS Discussion. And today we're discussing the 2021 national championship between Georgia and Alabama. Georgia finally got them one, their first championship since 1980. Kirby Smart defeating his mentor, Nick Saban, 33-18. Mia, what was your biggest takeaway, your recap from the 2021 national championship and Georgia beating Alabama?
Man, didn't see this one coming. Not like the way it did. Sucks for Alabama. It really does because you look at the season they've had, how they beat Georgia for the conference championship, and you don't necessarily see things going the way that they did for Alabama, especially in the second half. First half, they weren't able to really put points on the board. They had to settle for field goals, and that's never a formula for winning. And it seemed like Georgia wasn't really having a good game themselves. The second half to their game, Georgia kind of turned things around. And I think more so, and not to take away from Georgia, but I feel like Alabama got comfortable and they didn't necessarily step on the gas the way that they should have, and the way that they did in the conference championship game.
Hey, Austin, what do you think?
I think honestly, this is probably one of the closest, if not the closest championship game we've had with Alabama in championship. Most of the time, Alabama has pretty much ran their opponent off the field. And looking back on the Georgia game, the way they beat Georgia the first game, I'm pretty sure nobody expected the first half to be a defensive game like it was, and then for it to end the way it did. Having Georgia's defense step up when they need to and come out the second half and kind of totally take Bryce Young off his groove a little bit. It shows a lot about Kirby's resilience. Him losing to Nick Saban definitely stung, I could tell. And for him to go out in that second half and have that defense play stout, it was pretty nice to see. Alabama, they'll be back again, sure, possibly, but for them to kind of drop off that second half and not put up as many points as Georgia did, and to have the defense get outplayed by Georgia's defense, it really showed the resilience from Georgia that they really, really wanted. And shouts out to Georgia, man. They deserved that win last night.
Andrea, what's the biggest reason Georgia won?
Man, let us talk about that front seven, the speed on them boys, man. And not only the speed, the strength that they have too. The thing that pops up the most when you watch Bryce Young play is his poise. The pocket presence that he has is insane. He makes all those subtle movements that you exactly want in a quarterback going forward, not only in college, but also for a pro as well. So he's already really polished as a quarterback. You needed somebody who was going to totally disrupt that pocket. And I really love the interior pressure that they got, which set up the edge pressure that really just totally dismantles one of the most poised quarterbacks in college football right now. I love the speed that those linebackers played with. They were able to make plays, made it hard. And also too, you know, the back four did also a pretty good job as well. I think when you look at the history that UGA has done, how long it's been, 41 years, it's been crazy. And especially for Georgia, I am in Georgia. I'm in the A right now. It's really crazy to see them win, not only just after the Braves won, but then also win with UGA as well, because there's been a lot of treacherous sports history going on. You don't even have to go that far. Just go to the Falcons, you know, and that score that everyone just totally shreds Atlanta in. But guess what? It's not an Atlanta sports court curse if you're outside of Atlanta. Ha ha ha. UGA was able to get it done, and I'm super proud because I actually almost went to UGA. So go Bulldogs, man. Go Bulldogs.
And real quick, with the injury in the second quarter to Jamison Williams, Bryce Young's number one target, with John Mechie being out, how much do y'all think that affected the game?
Absolutely. The receivers were not able to get the separation that they were looking for. And honestly, too, we talked about that front seven. The reason why Mitchie got hurt was because it was an underthrown ball because of that pass rush. And he had to go back. He ended up landing weird, doing a weird juke move, and then ended up hurting his knee. So absolutely, that made a lot of difference.
Yeah,
Mia?
I think that definitely made a lot of a difference. You look at the way that Alabama was struggling to kind of move the ball as it was before that, and then he makes a great catch, but he hurts himself on that catch, and it seemed like that could have been a turning point for them to get their offense rolling, and then to lose him in that moment, that just kind of shut everything else down.
Austin?
Yeah, I agree. Losing Jameson definitely hurt Bama, helped Georgia because Bryce Young's number one weapon. He already was missing John Mechie with the torn ACL, and then to lose your number one weapon going into the game to an ACL, that definitely affected Bryce Young's performance. Not to say it was his fault because he did play with younger receivers who probably never been in that position before and wasn't probably ready for the big stage right now. But definitely was like a critical piece that Alabama needed to win last night, and losing him definitely hurt them.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at these two teams that were clearly the class of college football, the best two teams in college football this year. And when you look at the history of Georgia, Alabama, you look at the first game where Tua came in and won the championship, right? And Georgia, pretty much dominated that game. Georgia was in control of that game, and kind of Alabama stole it. When you look at the SEC championship, I'm not sure if it was the next year or 2 years after that, where Jalen Hurts came in and replaced Tua, and Georgia was winning that game, kind of dominating that game. Alabama found a way to win. And it looked like last night the same thing was going to happen. Just a couple bad bounces. Alabama was going to find a way to win, and Georgia ultimately made it over the hump. So I think when we look at it, I was surprised I picked Alabama, and I think it's just because I had so much respect for Bryce Young being the Heisman winner and what he did against them in the SEC championship, and Nick Saban. But when you look at it, Georgia probably was a better team than Alabama all year, right? Georgia's only loss this year was to Alabama, and Alabama lost to Texas A&M and Georgia. And I got this from Undisputed and Skip Bayless earlier, but Georgia won their SEC games this year by average of 32 points, while Alabama only won their SEC games by average of 13 points. So I think that's just a huge difference. It shows how dominant Georgia was this year and how dominant that defense, how historical that defense was this year. And I'm glad they got the national championship to kind of validate the season they had. And a shout out to Kirby Smart because he's been putting together top 3 recruiting classes for the last 4 or 5 years. And like I said, they finally validated with the championship. But let us know what y'all think. Let us know y'all thoughts on the college football championship and Georgia winning their first championship since 1980. And thank you again for tapping in for SOS discussion here at Spot On Sports, where you're not just accurate, we're spot on.